All right, welcome back to Vicenza Cougar Podcast. We got a clan of friends and sports enthusiasts, actually volleyball men champions for 2 years in a row. I don't think that record's been broken. Not that it's the biggest record ever, but we had a great time back then. So I figured we'd try to get together and see what's been going on in the last 30 years and who's ready to get back out on the court. So if we're lucky, we'll get a little Kohut action in here. Can't believe he's not hearing his ears ringing here and isn't here the first one, but we'll see what happens. So with us in the podcast, we've got Shaun Kramer, Brad McCoy, Rick Ortiz, Jason Schaaf. Good to see you guys. How you doing?
Fabulous.
Yeah, great. Thanks to everybody.
Thanks for the invite.
I got to go off on a volleyball story here. Let's just go back to what was going on in that era. There was some sort of disparity in politics, the high school politics about not enough sports or equal sports for men and women. I don't want to say boys or girls, but so there was this idea they split the football team into two teams. So we had two men football teams, and then there was this okay, we need a men's volleyball team. I was like, I don't know how that balanced anything out, but I like the idea of playing volleyball and traveling, having fun with the girls. So, hey, that sounds like a good idea. I think Kohut, all of a sudden, Johnny Kohut, who's been a lifelong, full life cycle, still living there now, still doing volleyball, it's probably at the same level of energy, shows up and takes us under his wing. And we look at this as a fun time. And for some reason or other, we decided, I think I'm going to do volleyball. Was he a heavy recruiter? Did he really pressure you guys? What do you remember?
Yes. I can remember we moved there that summer, and he was in the Air Force, and he worked out at the airport with my dad. And I'm walking through we had just moved there. I'm walking through the hallways there, and my dad introduces me to him, and he was selling me right then, man, because I was fairly tall, and he's like, hey man, you got to play volleyball. And then it was relentless after that.
Yeah. Jason, what about you? Did he?
I don't recall, Shaun. I truly don't. I don't. It's one of those things. It's like, I played volleyball in high school and tennis in college. You know what I'm saying? So it's. I always really wished I was the captain and the quarterback of the football team, to be honest with you.
That was the typecast that we were all probably raised with in some way, shape, or form. And
I don't remember, honestly. I don't even remember how I ended up on the volleyball team.
Yeah, I don't know.
Jason, you were one of the top guys on the team.
I know, but I don't remember how I ended up on the team per se.
Yeah,
but, it was a great experience. I had a blast, man.
Totally.
Yeah. What about you, Shaun?
I thought so.
Siri's joining. Oh, that's strange. Shaun, what do you remember from that first year?
So the first year, especially, I didn't have any background whatsoever in volleyball. It was similar to what Brad was saying. Just come on, you can do it. Whatever. I'm like, sure, okay, And I think as Jamie had said in the previous podcast, it was, you're small, big fish in a small pond. So, it's okay, yeah, sure, I can do this, right? Yeah. And in other places around the world, you really wouldn't have been you wouldn't have had those kind of opportunities. We did, and I did, and even amongst this team, I was not the best player. I'll be honest with myself. Just okay, yeah, I can play, right? But that the ability to be able to be a part of that and to travel around the country, playing and all that was really, really fantastic. I'll always be thankful for it.
The first year was in Rome, wasn't it, Shaun?
What, the championship?
Yeah.
Championship, yeah, you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah. The first year was in Rome. Second year was in Vicenza.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember how we ended the second year, and it was neat how that came together. It feels like I'm just, spoiling the surprise. But yeah, you guys remember we won last championship game was best out of 5, and we won I think we won 3 in a row. So we went out, and it was the third game that we did our first ever. This is where Johnny would be helpful right here, right, with his memory banks. He's so sharp with every detail. But we won 15-0. Like, it was brewing, and we were like, hey guys, it's 8-zip. Did you notice that? It's like, don't talk about it. And and it was just like we just kept going, and then we went out 15-0, and we all remember that as steak dinner. And Rick, I think your family sponsored us, right? You guys we had that over at your house, right?
Yeah, we did. We did.
Right.
We had a big. I think half the school ended up showing up to that bash at our house.
Yeah. For me, and being a champion, it was nice to say. I mean, growing up in Italy and going to school there, it was the one team that I was a part of, a championship team that I was a contributor. I mean, I'm not remembering back when I was a freshman exactly, but we never made it in soccer. Took another few years afterwards, I hear. And then, it was just nice to remember that we didn't make it in basketball. We were out skilled by other teams. But we got to play We Will Rock You, or We Are the Champions. That was a big highlight. Just playing that big boom box that Kohut had, and that was just a great little moment. And I remember Marisa Ritchie, recognizing the moment, and all our other friends around there, just we were all together happy, but realizing it was kind of the end of that stage. I think, Jason, you were heading back over to the States.
Yeah.
Right? And then for most of us, we were heading off to college or moving out of Vicenza. So Rick, we left you holding the bag to kind of keep it going with like a brand new building team. So I know you love that.
Yeah, so I moved to Vicenza in summer of '87, and I was new to the area, didn't know anyone, and I hung out a lot at the base pool and at the gym, and kind of got word of hey, there's a tryout going on for the volleyball team, and I love being active and whatnot. So I went and tried out. I remember Johnny telling me after a few sessions and stuff, it's like, hey, there's no way you're going to make this team unless you sacrifice your body and give absolutely everything that you have. So that's exactly what I ended up doing, and ended up becoming some part of something that was really special. And I wish Johnny was on here, because that really set the whole foundation for me to the way that I ended up approaching almost anything that I did to that point, in whether it was in sports or whatever, because I was always a guy that was, small stature, and I always had to give, my absolute all in order to be competitive, and that kind of attitude kind of carried and transpired throughout the rest of, even my career in the Marine Corps, but I became part of something that was really special over those 2 years, something that I didn't think that I would ever be a part of. And when you guys left, it was rough, because we went from being ultimately victorious all the time, to my junior year, we lost every single game that season, and so that was brutal. It was, Johnny went back into recruitment mode, trying to recruit everyone and anything. And we went through a rebuilding, and he even, took charge of the female team as well, the girls team. And finally our senior year, it all came through, and we were actually very competitive our senior year, and made it to the finals. Didn't win the championship, got second place against Milan, but the girls won the championship that year. But again, Johnny was in the middle of all of it, so yeah,
I want to give you credit though, and I just remember this moment. It's one of those things, certain things you remember or not, but I remember going back and getting a chance to see the Vicenza Cougar boys play, and Rick was trying to cover what we all did as a team of 6. He was trying to do it all. I mean, you had ramped up your game like tenfold from when we were there together. Not that you were slacking in any way, shape, or form back when we were together, but it was like you knew what you needed. You knew what you needed to get done. You were trying to make it happen, and you had, not that your other teammates were weak or anything. It's just you knew what it took, and you were trying to make it happen. And in many cases, you were covering for everybody else in a certain way. And it was like, that's got to be frustrating to do that. So we were lucky, I think, honestly. Jason, I think your comment hits right on the nose. Like, I don't know how I was there, but Johnny all of a sudden had a good group of athletes that, you know, to a point could have been on a football team instead, easily. You know, I mean, in question for me, I could have been on my father's football team and the quarterback and the captain, probably. I mean, I could earn it, all right. But it came to be a point that volleyball was fun, man. Everything was fun about it. It wasn't just the games or the practices or all the fun we had off court. It was all the stuff that he did for us as a chaperone. I mean, you're teenagers, you don't have a car, you can't drive. There's our chaperone taking us out. We're going clubbing at age 16? We're going out to nightclub.
So true.
You remember that maybe? Yeah. So
that was unbelievable. So you guys, I don't know if you know this or not, but I ended up going to West Point, right? Well, the reason I went to West Point is because of Kohut's roommate.
Oh,
Steve, who was in the Ranger Battalion there, he was a lieutenant. He was Kohut's roommate, and I thought Steve was a great guy, and I decided I wanted to go to West Point, and fast forward, I went, graduated, did my time, and the rest is history. I run in. Listen to this. So I end up going to West Point. I graduate. I'm a field artillery officer. I'm at the combined Cass Cube, which is in Fort Leavenworth. I'm getting out in like 6 months or something like that, and it's like an academic environment. And I had to go to the library to meet up with some people, and I cut down the hallway. I went down a few floors. I'm walking down the hallway, and who do I run into but Steve? And he's now a lieutenant colonel. And I told him, like, dude, you don't know this, but you're the reason I went to West Point. And I'm like, I graduated. I'm getting ready to get out here in, a few months or whatever. But, and I told him, like, I don't know whether to punch you or hug you or what. But anyway, so we had a good conversation. That's the last time I talked to him.
That's awesome. So what was it? Because he went to West Point, he sold the idea to you or
well,
what?
He didn't sell the idea to me. He just was a great dude and set a good example. And, I wanted to be like Steve when I grew up,
Nice. I don't remember, I remember that in your time frame, West Point in particular, there was like, I don't know, a handful of others around that same time frame. Ben Terrell,
Yeah.
Tara Piazzi, I think Allison Stanley. I don't know if there was others, but it was like 3 or 4 of you there. I was like, I don't even know if you guys saw each other at all. I have no idea. I probably think in Vicenza terms, like small school, you see each other in the hallway, easy.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, to your point, Rick, about what it did for you. I can appreciate that. It's definitely one of those things that I struggle today because my son doesn't get that same kind of opportunities that we had to play sports. I mean, he could play club sports, but the chance of being on, in particular, he's going in as a freshman, by the way. I have a son, 14 years old. He's going into a big school, and it's like, you're talking about kids that are already dunking in basketball as an example. I'm like, yeah, if you grow another foot or so, yeah, he's almost my height, 5'11". So it's like, okay, good. But the opportunity to play 3 sports, it's just not going to come anywhere close to the true. And he's definitely not going down the same path I am. I'm not pushing. I'm not going to. I just hope he finds those values that we're able to take away, the camaraderie, the teamwork, just having a good time with that. Brad, how did it go for you? Your boys are older, right?
Yeah, no, I was going to say, as you were saying that, I mean, for those of you that don't know, I married Allison Schmidt, who was a year behind us, class of 90, and we've been married almost 26 years now. And so we both obviously came from the same sort of high school environment, right? And our youngest just graduated from high school. Our oldest is two years into college. And we made that decision, when they went into high school, or actually in the middle school, to put them in a smaller environment, because we both really appreciated that smaller environment, the ability to be able to be involved in sports and different things that you may or may not have the opportunity to do at a large school. So we made the decision, among other reasons too, but to send our kids to a small private school, where they were able to play. They're both baseball players. They're both able to play, and started when they were in 9th grade, and all that kind of stuff, and got all the experience. The older kid was the student body president and stuff like that. So our public schools here, have graduating classes of 600-800 kids. It's just a different environment, and we so much appreciated the opportunities that we had in high school that we wanted that for our kids too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I understand that too. The decision, private school or not, or
it's a lot of factors that weigh into it, and you just got to figure out what's right for your kid. Every kid's different, But
I've heard stories of Vicenza folk that have, like they lose out on their senior year, that whole build up of all those friends from like whatever 9th, 8th, 10th.
But even before that, I mean, my sister and brother were, my sister's 4 years younger, and my brother's 6 years younger. So they were in junior high school there in Vicenza when I was there, and they were incredibly, unhappy to leave Vicenza in the first place, just as a matter of fact. And then, they went to a public school in California, and it was like you're saying, Brad, like this massive school, and they were just like thrown to the sharks. They were just like, sorry, but it was just like, did not go well at all for them. Whereas, for me, I went to college, so it's just like, okay, yeah, I'm cool. It's okay. But for them, it was really, really, really tough going from such a kind of protected environment kind of thing in Vicenza to an American public school. It was just a big shift for them.
Yeah, I was lucky, man, because I went back to the same high school that I'd left.
Okay.
The only difference is I was like 6 inches taller and packed on like 40 pounds of muscle. And I had the Italian clothes, like every girl wanted me. I mean, I was like in hog heaven,
Okay. That's like the Cinderella dream for anybody.
Oh yeah, I mean it was unbelievable.
That's awesome. So that's great. So man, what we got to. The volleyball thing was great. Vicenza in and of itself. I mean, all the stuff. What do you guys recall? Like thinking of like, let's go to the culture, then we'll go to teachers like afterwards or something like that, or feel free to blend it in. But what's something that comes to mind, Shaun?
With the culture in particular, I remember a big, for me, it was, so we had lived in Munich beforehand, right, for a couple of years. And so coming from Germany, where, okay, even though it's Munich where things are a little bit more loose, it was still very regimented, everything. And then coming to Italy, where it very much felt like kind of every man for himself sort of thing. It was like really, really a different sort of culture in terms of sort of a lot more like, okay, so today the trains are on strike or whatever, you wouldn't have had that in Germany kind of thing. You have a lot more regimented kind of thing. And that to me was a really big cultural adjustment, where just like you think, okay, there are rules kind of thing. You come from Germany where there are rules, and it's like, no. You're just going to have to roll with it, dude. That kind of thing.
Nice. And I apologize. I don't know if we've covered it or not, but you're over in Asia, right? So
and so then of course coming to Japan, where it's like there are really rules, So it's like I kind of came full circle in a way.
Look at that. Yeah.
I remember all the freedoms that we had. I mean, I just think about my kids now, versus what we did when we were in high school. I mean, taking trains all over Italy to go to concerts and, going out on Friday nights, remember the carnival downtown and, all that stuff, where I think about my kids, doing that. It's like, we just went away. I mean, we just left and, left home at Friday nights and came back whenever. And I don't know, parents didn't worry. It wasn't like today, I don't know. It's different.
You're like, hey, I'm going to Verona, another town an hour away, and I'll be back tonight. Cool.
Yeah.
What concerts I'm
Not
sorry.
only that, we could roll out to the bars and the clubs and drink and do whatever the hell we wanted. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I remember the very first weekend, and this is when I had just moved to Vicenza. The very first weekend I was there, I met somebody at the temporary lodging, and they're like, "Hey, let's go downtown," and I'm like, "What?" And it's like, "Yeah, let's go downtown." So we went downtown, and we stayed out there until like the last bus, coming back. And I remember my parents were all flipping out because they thought that, I got lost or whatever, but that was kind of the start of many new adventures that I experienced over the course of 4 years there. Everything from, jumping on a train, going to Venice and just hanging out for the day, to actually
school day, right?
Yeah. Or going to a Pink Floyd concert, in Venice in '89. That was historic. That was
the best. That was so cool.
That was epic.
Right?
I missed that one. Damn.
That was unbelievable.
That the parents actually had the confidence to allow me to jump on a train and go to Naples by myself to go hang out for a week to watch a basketball tournament during a school week, and then to come back. It's like, I would never allow my kids to do something like that nowadays here in the States.
Yeah, we didn't have cell phones. You didn't have that "Where are you" app. You're like one phone call from a gettone in a telephone booth, and it's like
you arrive at the destination. As a matter of fact, leaving the concert from the Floyd concert in Venice, I remember like getting out it was like, almost like riots started breaking out and whatever. And I remember just crawling into the back of a box cart that was on the side. We just crawled in there, went to sleep, and when we woke up, the train was moving. We didn't know where the heck we were at. Got off at the next station, made the phone call. It turned out that I was like somewhere by Padova or something like that. And my dad came over and picked us up, and brought us home. But that was the way that we lived back then. And you didn't realize until you were much older just how good we really had it and the things that we experienced, And not only that, just when we went on our trips, for competition, for volleyball, wrestling, track, whatever. I mean, we went to Rome 4 times in 1 month, in one of my years. I mean, who else could say that here in the States, that you could go, experience that? You go play, something, compete, in an event, and then, at the end of the day, you go and tour the Colosseum, go to the Vatican, go to McDonald's by the Spanish Steps, because that was the only McDonald's in all Italy at the time. That type of stuff. It's epic. It's cool. And my daughters and my wife get annoyed with me at times because we'll watch a movie or a show, and then they'll show like the Vatican. It's like, hey, I've been there, and they're like, shut up. Or they'll show the Berlin Wall. Hey, I've been there. Shut up. So we were definitely had a unique experience growing up. That now that I'm older, I truly, truly appreciate. And I'm looking forward to the day that I could finally take my family over there so they could see some of the stuff that I experienced when I was growing up.
Totally.
Yeah. That point about telling people when you came to the States, where are you from? I'm like, Vicenza, Italy. And they're like, what? They just, I don't get it. Shaun Patrick Dempsey, Vicenza, Italy. What are you talking about? You're not Italian. Yeah. Okay. I'm from Boston.
John, how's the Italian now? Do you still speak Italian okay, or do you forget it?
It's there. I've learned that it regresses to like a 7th grade level. It takes a while to find the right words to make a nice sentence that you sound more articulate. It's always going to be there. It's the same for me. I learned they're the same root. I'll never lose it. It's just I don't get enough of it. I went to Italy a couple of years ago with my wife, and I just enjoyed immersing. It's like it was like feeding a part of my brain. And we did the good tour. Rome actually was more enjoyable to me than doing the usual check boxes. So Vicenza, nobody was around. Kohut wasn't around. I didn't really want to go onto the base and go look at the gym and say, honey, this is my high school. It didn't matter. That wasn't really relevant. But didn't want to run the marathon either around all the things in Vicenza necessarily. We went downtown. We had ice cream lunch and stuff. We were at the open market in the piazza, but we spent most of our time over in Venice and Rome. And we did actually spend a night in Verona. We caught Aida in the arena, which was the same arena we saw Pink Floyd. But all of us, I want to see who went to that one, but which was an amazing concert too. But anyway, my point is that it felt good to get back there and feed that part of my brain. The part that I was most annoyed was other tourists speaking English. It was just kind of like, I don't want to hear other language. I want to be just immersed with Italians. So that's what I miss. And I have friends back there. So where do I want to go after this whole, and whatever embargo of sorts? Italy. I don't really, it's a better thing for me. I want to take my son. I want to show him around. To your point, Rick, we talking about all these places you've been. It's kind of like, he's at the right age. I want to show him these places that I think he'll appreciate them and such. So I want to go down that place. So yeah, it's there. But concerts, Brad, you hit a good topic there. Which concerts did you go to? I imagine we were all at the same concerts, but I just don't recall.
No, I didn't go to the Pink Floyd. I remember going to, I was in a little bit different kind of music than most people. I went and saw The Cure. I think Jamie and I, Pellerito, went to that one.
Nice.
I remember seeing UB40 somewhere.
Wow. Yeah.
A couple others that I don't remember the details, but
yeah, we went to Shaun. You were at Pink Floyd in Verona, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was you and I can't remember who else, and then
Pellerito, I think.
Pellerito and I went to Bon Jovi in Rome.
Wow.
We went to see Ozzy in Milan, a bunch of people, if I recall.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe it was. I don't remember which year, but I think somebody and I went to see REM somewhere. I can't remember where the location.
And I think Brad, I still like, dude, I like karaoke The Cure now.
Oh yeah, nice.
yeah. No, every time I listen to The Cure, it reminds me of like, I think you got me into The Cure, and I remember being in Rome, like having The Cure on my Walkman or whatever. And anytime I hear like a Cure song, that's what I think of.
Yeah.
Shaun?
Yeah, everybody else was into the Bon Jovi and the Metallica and all that. That wasn't my scene.
So my sister was into the Bon Jovi. So I took her first concert was Bon Jovi. I took her to. And I think the Scorpions maybe were opening up for them or something like that. The first show that I went to in Italy, though, was Dio. And I got checked for drugs walking in. So like a drug dog came up and bit me on the ass as we were going through security. And
is that where you were keeping it?
I didn't have drugs. I was I literally had just gotten to Italy. I didn't speak a word of Italian. And they took us off to this other area, and I literally had, and I know this is being recorded, but whatever. I literally had, to drop my pants, and somebody check underneath my balls and go like, so no, hush. And I'm like, I don't have anything, dude. So anyway.
That's why you're in Asia. I get it.
Seriously. So that was my first show. So I missed the whole opening act, but I got to see Dio, so that was great. And then Metallica. I think the Goldsteins, when you did the other the other podcast with the Goldsteins, you were talking about that. So I saw that show as well before the And Justice for All album even had been out, and that was super cool. I remember seeing David Lee Roth after he had left Van Halen, and we had gone out. I think this was in Milan, and we'd gone after the show outside the stadium, and we actually were able to talk to him and Steve Vai, the guitarist.
Oh wow!
Just briefly, but that was really sort of a special kind of situation.
Yeah, I remember Pearl Jam opening up for you too. Like to say that now is like, people are like, "Are you kidding me?" And I'm like, "No, that was a real concert."
Yeah, the Pink Floyd, not the Padova one, not the one that you guys were talking about before, but the one in Venice. That was the one basically in '89. That was the one that I went to, and that was when I've talked to people about that over the years. That's like one of the most memorable shows I've ever been to. That was the first time I ever smoked pot. That was just really, really, really unbelievable. That was a great sort of scene. It sucked though, because there was nowhere to take a piss. right? So like
that's one that the stage was out on the water, right? Out on the bar.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's when I went to. Yep. And I mean, you got there at like 11 o'clock in the morning, and you were stuck. You couldn't go anywhere.
Exactly.
I mean, so yeah, that was crazy. I think there was over like 200,000 people that showed up there for that concert.
It was a free concert, right?
Oh yeah, it was an open concert. It was an open concert. I mean, so like the main piazza and everything. I mean, it was jam packed from like the train station all the way to the main piazza. It was jam packed. They actually put like screens up in the main squares and piazzas and whatnot. So if you didn't actually make it all the way to the front, you were pretty much SOL, you know. And we got there early enough that we actually had a pretty good spot near the edge of the water right there, so we could actually see the stage and the concert live. Yeah, they had an awesome laser show for that concert.
Yeah. I bet you it's on YouTube. I bet you the concert actually.
Yeah. They actually recorded a video for during that concert.
Oh wow. Yeah, concerts. I mean, to your point, Brad, the liberties we had, and unreal. I mean, you know, guys, we just.
So that show, I remember like that night, it was like a call to my parents. I'm like, yeah, so you know, we're not going to be able to get back tonight. I'm going to have to come. I'll be back tomorrow morning at some point. You know, I don't know. Like, can you believe getting away with that? It was ridiculous.
How would you guys handle that? It's like, you know, no. Yeah, no.
I remember the beaches in Venice, you know, like you're a high school kid and suddenly like everyone's topless. You're like, oh shit, I better have some good sunglasses.
Yeah, Jamie Anson was like calling it nudist beaches. I'm like, not really, but yeah, close enough.
Senior trip to Rimini Beach.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think I went to that one, but I gather a lot of people did. I don't know why I missed out on some of these things. I don't know. I was excluded. Oh man. So what stories do you guys find yourself telling the fam? Like what comes back to you about what's the Vicenza story that you seem to go to? Look at those brains churn.
I don't know, man. Most of mine are like stay in the vault. They're not really for good consumption purposes, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. It wouldn't set a very good example. It wouldn't go
it is recorded.
I'm trying to instill in my kids right now. I think
I remember one time, like I was out drinking with somebody and like showed up at my house bombed. And like my dad comes into my room and I'm like, Dad, look, let's talk in the morning because this isn't going to work out well right now because I couldn't even like function. And then the next day we had to go to Florence or something for somebody was visiting from the States or this or that. And the next day, like all I could taste was the grappa in my gut, you know, like just grinding. I just wanted to die, man.
Italian moonshine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, you know, the little bars, you know, the little neighborhood bars, you stop off, you know, like there was like one over kind of by the housing area there. Like we'd stop off like on the way home on our bikes, you know, like
I remember doing that.
Home.
Yeah. I remember you and I one time doing that, or at least once. We were just coming home from volleyball practice, you know, that little road there on the back way to Bellagio, you know?
Yeah.
Crossing the train tracks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
you cut through like that farmer field, like, you know, like in the back. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can imagine the stories from that bartender, if it's the same person, you know, imagine all the kids coming through every day. And
yeah.
Oh man.
The ski trips.
Yes.
Those were a blast, dude. Like those ski trips were unbelievable.
How much skiing were you into? I'm thinking of you in Texas. I'm like, not much snow. So did you?
Yeah, no, I skied a lot. I still ski frequently. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember when the carnivals used to come into town, you know, in downtown. And so we go to the carnival downtown and then you missed the last bus that was going to the base. You could catch the shuttle bus home. I lived in at the backside of Torre di Quattrosolo, which was much further than Bellagio. So I would oftentimes find myself walking from downtown Vicenza all the way to my house, you know, in Torre. And that's something that, you know, I would never fathom or imagine my girls or kids doing in this day and age here in the States.
Yeah, like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. We lived in Torrey too. I think maybe a little bit closer maybe than you did, but yeah, it's quite a haul from downtown Vicenza.
John, where were you?
I think from the base to my house it was like 5 miles if I remember correctly, something like that. And then from the base to downtown it was like another 3 miles.
Yeah.
You know, so
I'm going through the drive or the ride right now as you're saying it. You know, like what? Okay, go over that hill, then you start getting into downtown, and just so much going on down there. Wow. Have you guys stayed in touch with anybody else? I mean, any friends that have been? I mean, Facebook. I mean, has been good for that for all intents and purposes. You know, I'll turn off the rest of the noise, but you know, it's been good to be able to stay up with people. But who else are you staying in touch with?
You know, I haven't really, you know, just through Facebook, but Allison and the girls from the class of '90, there's 4 or 5 of them that get together, you know, every few years and see each other, like Mo McGillis and Jenny and there's a few others that they've gotten together and a couple times. Yeah, I think once in like South Carolina.
That's right. Emily and Amanda and
Emily, Amanda, Jenny,
Becky maybe from Tejas.
Yeah, Becky Matson, right? Sure. Allison and Heather, of course, and so they stay together.
And Mo, actually, the McGillises came to, I think they were in Portland or thereabouts when we were in Seattle, and so we saw them a few times back in the day, and we haven't been in touch very much recently, but there were, you know, not only the kids but also the parents were in touch back in the States as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, so Ingrid, Saga's younger sister, came here to Japan and visited here. And so, you know, she had reached out, and so I was just like, yeah, you know, I'll be the tour guide by all means. And so took her around Tokyo and stuff, and that was really, really cool. Not just her, but the whole family.
Entrepreneur over there, Shaun. Do you mind telling us about that? I mean, I've followed you on social media. You put something out there in Asian culture, which was pretty wild in my book. But tell us that story. What was that? What was going on over there?
So like I said earlier, my main job is to work for this library software company that's based out of Michigan. That's my main thing. But about, you know, when I first came to Yokohama, I found this heavy metal craft beer bar that like literally the day I got here, I found it. And I was just like, I walk in, he's about, you know, the owner is about my age, and we start talking about Metallica and stuff. And it's just sort of like, yeah, I'm going to spend a lot of money here. And I did. And then, you know, he was going to open up his second bar, and I had this idea to do these meatballs using a sort of, think of it like a flat top, except it's not a flat top. It's got dimples in it, like golf balls, you know? And so you use that to make this Japanese dish called takoyaki, which is like a savory pancakes with a bit of octopus inside. And I was like, I can make meatballs using the same machine. I'll make meatballs, and you know, because at one point I wanted to make spaghetti and meatballs, and so I was doing this at home, and it kind of became let's make all kinds of meatballs and shit. And so I started doing that, and I told him about it. And when he was going to open up his second bar, he was like, "Hey, why don't we do heavy metal craft beer and craft meatballs?" And I'm just like, yes, I can't say no to that. By all means, let's do that. And so that's literally like about an 8-minute walk from here. And so we did that for about the last 4 years. And so that was sort of like my second job, hobby. You know, my wife was really, really, really good about letting me go off and do all that. So as a result of COVID, though, we basically shut down basically in May. You know, it's like, okay, we're not going to be able to continue, basically. But so it's over. But for the past 4 years, it's been really, really cool. And both Japanese and, a lot of foreigners, we had all kinds of different kinds of meatballs that we would make, and it was a lot of fun. It was a way for me to participate, to sort of have my sort of like, let's have a restaurant bar kind of thing, but it wasn't mine. I could just kind of play around. So it was a lot of fun. It was great.
Yeah, that was cool. I was like you're bringing in like not but Metallica, meatballs, beer, and it was just like I could see it as your place kind of thing. So that was really cool.
Yeah, it was great.
That's awesome. Yeah. So cool, really cool story.
Shaun, what are you doing now, man?
So I work for a company called ProQuest, which is library software and databases, and they're based out of Ann Arbor, Michigan. And I'm in charge. I handle like support and training basically for Asia Pacific.
Oh, okay, cool.
So yeah, my team does. So it's great because I get to work for an American company, have to have the connection with the States, get to be able to go back to the States all the time. But I'm over here and doing this.
How long have you guys been in Japan?
I've been in Japan for 20 years now. So,
oh, wow. Do you speak Japanese?
Pretty good. Yeah. So, and my wife is Japanese, and basically when I first came over here, the reason I came over here in the first place was because after college, having lived in Europe, I was like, I want to travel some more, but I want to go someplace I don't really know very much about. And I had an opportunity to come here and teach English, right out of college. And it was only supposed to be a 1-year gig. And during that 1 year, I met my wife, and that changed everything.
She was a student.
Nice. That's awesome. Dempsey, what about you? What are you doing these days?
IT, consulting, program management.
Oh, okay.
A lot of
like corporate type enterprise companies?
Yeah.
So are you an independent contractor, or do you work for a firm, or what?
Yeah, I run my own. So I been doing that for years in Boston. Just it kind of the roots of Vicenza, the leading and stuff, putting a team together, just kind of stuck with me. So I always loved IT. So Boston's a really good town for all those big corporations always trying to.
Oh yeah, no, I worked for EMC for a number of years.
Yeah, great company. Yeah, I remember their run. Now being Dell and all that stuff. But yeah, Brad and I talked. We connected, Brad. What, like, I don't know, 5 years ago, 10 years ago?
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. I don't work for Flex. I work for a competitor called Vball. But yeah, we're electronics manufacturer, global company. Yeah, so that's one of the nice things.
What do you do for them, Brad?
I'm a business director, so I manage a portfolio of customers in the automotive electronics space.
Oh, so, cool.
Yeah, so most of my manufacturing is in one of our factories in China, but we got customers in Europe and North America. And so I used to do quite a bit of traveling. It's been nice the last 6 months. I was in Europe for about 2 weeks in January, and then I haven't traveled since. So kind of nice.
Yeah, me too. We actually, the cybersecurity company that we just got acquired by Microsoft, we actually do something called operational technology cybersecurity, which I don't know if I would think you're maybe familiar with operational technology. Like that's the networks that connect like a manufacturing facility, all the PLCs, HMIs, all the stuff within like they call those OT networks. Anyway, that's the kind of stuff that my company that was bought by Microsoft does. And I think one of my guys was talking to Vball actually at some point in time,
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So Ricky, you were in the Marines, huh?
Yeah. I was in for just shy of 22 years.
Wow, that's awesome, man.
Amazing,
yeah. I started off as an aircraft mechanic for F-18s, and then around my 15th year in service, I got selected for Chief Warrant Officer and became a maintenance officer.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. What are you doing nowadays?
Retired
or?
Yeah, I retired from the Marine Corps, but I'm currently working civil service for the Navy. I basically doing more or less along the same lines of what I was doing on active duty, but I manage a fleet of T-56 aircraft engines for the Navy, providing all the logistical support and service requirements.
Cool. So are you part of like a contract for Lockheed Martin or something, or?
No. This is straight government. This is under the Department.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's a good thing about like, retiring from the military. It's like, it's just like phase one of the career, more or less. Like my dad retired, and then he retired from Lockheed Martin after that,
Yeah. So the cool thing is that even though I'm no longer active duty, I still get to interact with a lot of the sailors and Marines. I provide a lot of training, and basically just share, my experiences I had in my 22 years in service, to kind of point them in the right direction and help them maintain their aircraft, or their engine.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. I'm still doing a lot of the same of what I was on active duty, minus all the bureaucracy and red tape and having to deal with the youngins that always get in trouble, so I just have to focus on the job and worry about me, myself, and I, and we do a lot of projects, as a team. We have a small team that I work with, so it's good. So it's a good environment.
Where do you live nowadays?
I'm my base is NAS Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, okay. So you're in Florida.
So I live just south of Jacksonville, Fleming Island.
Cool. Yeah, we were down in Florida, I don't know, last week, I guess, in Seagrove on the Gulf there, just screwing around at the beach. If I sit on the beach for more than 10 minutes, though, like I want to choke somebody, I'm too antsy, So, yeah. Yeah. So the kids had a good time, though. Like the kids are playing around. I played golf 3 or 4 times with my son, who's 16. So that was fun. We got some good, one-on-one time.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I have a funny story. Rick, of course, got to go Marine, badass. I don't remember if you were retired at the time, but this was like you and I reconnected. I have to think it was probably in the last 4 years. And we somehow we recognized that Xbox was something we could connect on and shoot the shit.
Yeah.
And it was probably Call of Duty. And, it was, so you think
I think it was Star Wars Battlefront.
Was it?
Yeah, I think it was Star Wars Battlefront. Yeah.
So this was like a chance in my mind to try to connect with Rick, but also, play one of these games with my son as well. So the funny and the dynamic to me was how, Rick and I are just like us. We would just be shooting the shit about, regular stuff. But my son was very, I'd say, antagonizing. And it just seems to be the way they talk about, their scores and how well their team, what you've leveled up to be and stuff. And I'm like trying to explain to my son, you're talking to a Marine, okay? He's real. He's done this. You don't, like, not the right tone to have. And I'm like trying to explain this on the call. I'm like, Rick's being really polite and kind and like, having real stories to share. I'm like, let's take a step back. I don't think we tried that again, but it was a fun opportunity to kind of try to connect over a different medium. So.
Yeah, I think at one point even Chip Flowers joined in for a little bit also.
Nice.
Yeah. Chip's up here. Chipman. Brad and Jay, you guys might remember him from Vicenza. He was always like suited up, suit and tie. He's like he had a focus in life, and he made it come true for all intents and purposes. He went into politics. He was like state treasurer of Delaware. And he did that for a short stint, and now he's I don't want to say retired. He's been running his own law firm forever. So, but we're good buds. We connect a lot up here. And funny for that is also that April Buther's younger sister Nikki, she was probably underclassmen for us. She lives up here too, and she's replaced April for me. No, just kidding, April. We hang out a lot. Our families hang out a lot, so it's great. So the Vicenza connections stay strong. Some of them simmer, some of them go cold, but it's good to have that connection to your history. So, but
I mean, that's one thing I remember about Vicenza, being a small school that, you look at the bigger schools now, and there's a lot of cliques and groups and stuff like that. And I mean, we had some of that, I think, a little bit in Vicenza, but for the most part, everybody knew everybody and was friends, and, and it was a little bit different of an environment.
Yeah, I agree. We didn't, you could, like, to the point about concerts, it didn't, you could be on a train with like upperclassmen, underclassmen, it didn't matter. It was just, whether you were the rockers or not, you could just fit in and go with the flow. And we all kind of looked out for each other to some extent.
It's true.
Yeah. Teachers, let's go back to Vicenza teachers, because I know you guys have some fun memories in there.
For me was always, of course, Mr. Hakim was always like the end all be all in a way, and it was a matter of it was all kinds of stuff. It was not just teaching, but it was also sort of a version of what we've been talking about in terms of letting you, giving you some rope to kind of do some stuff, try some stuff, some freedom to sort of, be creative or whatever. And at the same time, he was one of the toughest teachers I've ever had. So it was just like, you get your knuckles wrapped if it was appropriate. So it was really, he's always in my life one of my favorite teachers I think I've ever had, for sure.
Any other favorites, guys?
I remember Palorito, Jamie's dad, obviously.
Sure.
Wild man. And the thing I remember most, he would never like take the microphone when public speaking. He would always just, he would always put the mic away and just, use his voice, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, he passed, I mean, I think pretty recent after that, didn't he? More or less.
I don't remember the exact date. I think I'd say in the, like, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It was a sudden impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had some real characters there. You remember Mr. Cosell?
Yeah.
Jason, a tennis coach.
Yeah.
I remember you and him battling it out on the court. He was a frustrated guy to play tennis against.
Yeah.
Remember that? He did all the slices and the backhand, all this kind of, and you were trying to overpower him, and he would always frustrate you, would be able to, even though he was, I don't know, in his 50s or whatever, man, he was able to chase down everything. And he was a character, going on trips with him.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, we were super blessed, man, like to travel around, on the bus, and, the games and matches, whatever, were fun. But the best part was, before and after, and all those. I remember Harold. Remember Harold, Shaun?
Harold Wolverton?
Yeah.
Give me some cooch.
Yeah. Hey, it's for horses. I want some cooch.
Yeah.
We're on the bus one time, and like somebody's like, hey, and Wolverton's like, hey, it's for horses. I want some cooch.
Yeah.
Classic, man.
Yeah, it was a gem back then. I am trying to pull a reunion, try to get Harold, Marcus, Dave Richmond, Everett, kind of get that crew that was there. We'll see if that bruise comes to be. But I've seen Dave Richmond a bit too.
I mean, do you guys talk to Palorito at all?
I do. Well, it's limited, but a lot.
Is he still in New York City or what?
No, I think down in Georgia. I think that's the neck of the woods at one of the universities. Yeah.
Is he like a professor or something, or?
Yeah, I don't know exactly off the top of my head, but I'm sure it's to do with audio video. And I kind of felt like I was falling there, Brad.
Yeah, sorry.
That's fine. Yeah,
I'm trying to slide down in my chair here and get comfortable.
Yeah, no, I get. So yeah, Jamie's down that neck of the woods, but in the past we would always reconnect in New York City. So in general, up here in Boston, a trip, a weekend, a long weekend is New York City for us. My wife loves to get down there. She spent time living there for a bit, and we like to go down, hang out with our friends in Hell's Kitchen, and go karaokeing. And it's a nice event. But of course, with the current circumstances, it's wait until all that stuff passes.
You can always go down there and smash some windows or something and steal some shit, maybe, you know.
That's a great idea. I don't know why you thought of that. So yeah, teachers, come on, let's go back into the teacher lane. You remember Jeopardy? Anybody? Kleb, Jeopardy?
Yeah, I remember Mr. Kleb in Jeopardy. Obviously, remember your dad, Mr. Draculich, but I think the teacher that had the most impact on me, which I wish I would have had him earlier in high school, was Mr. Hakeem. Mr. Hakeem had the greatest impact on me. And I think that if I would have had him sooner, I would have been a much better student throughout my high school years than just waiting to flourish over my, because I wasn't the best student in high school, and he kind of turned that all around for me.
What did he do? Throw some books at you?
I don't know. It's just the way he went about it. It's just he just opened my eyes, and it's just I can't explain how he had the impact, but I guess maybe the fear of potentially not graduating and being passed kind of woke me up, and he gave me some opportunities to make up work that I initially didn't do. But he made me do the work. He wouldn't accept me not turning something in, and because he made me do the work, that kind of had an effect on the way I went about all of my other classes as well, so that's what stands out the most for me is Mr. Hakeem.
Nice. Brad, any memories?
Yeah, I mean Hakeem for sure, and I was on like the newspaper staff or whatever, and so I spent some extra time with him there. Like you guys were saying earlier, I mean he really seemed to feel strongly about everybody experiencing the culture there. So I remember field trips to different places and things like that. I think that's great because my parents, we loved to travel and we saw everything and did everything, but maybe not everybody's had those experiences. So it's good that he was able to get people to go out and go experience the culture. Other than that, I mean, there's nothing really stands out, but it was a good group of teachers, and it was a great experience overall.
You went back recently with your family. What was important for you to show your boys?
Yeah, I mean, we went. I think it was 3 summers ago, and they were both in high school, both boys, and so I mean, I just to see the place. Obviously both Allison and I went to high school there, so it was a big part of our lives. And we spent like 3 or 4 days there in Vicenza and went to Verona and Venice for a day, and spent some time with Johnny. We were talking about this before we went on here that we went to dinner with him one night. We were actually there on the 4th of July that year, and so we went on base and for the big 4th of July celebration they had there with Johnny and a couple of friends of his. So just seeing, we went into the teatro, where we graduated. The kids got to see that, which is cool building by itself, but the idea of graduating there is
how did your boys take that? How were the boys with that one? Were they like bullshit?
Yeah, I mean they're 16 or 18 or whatever, it's not the kind of stuff that excites them, but I think it was cool for them to see because obviously over the years we've talked about our high school, and so seeing that and just experiencing the culture. We rented this little flat right downtown in Vicenza for 3 nights, and just kind of walking around downtown and hanging out, having coffee in the morning and eating that, just kind of experiencing that culture was cool for them. And then so it was good. Really great experience.
Yeah, no, when you said Teatro Olimpico, my wife going to the Teatro Olimpico, she graduated in this unique, rare place. She was just like, yeah, okay, nice. like unbelievable. How rare, how special, and very much how you suck.
I don't know about you guys, but I can't tell you how many times over the years I've kind of turned into that guy. He was like, so where'd you graduate? And they're like, yeah, the gym. And I was like, yeah, so oldest working indoor amphitheater in the world. So, and Napoleon was there. So, you know, there's like a notch in the column over there, you know, that kind of thing. Like over and over and over. It's like, so how, you know, I remember, so we were there. I went, the only time I've been back since 1989 was in, I think, 2013, and brought my wife, and similar to what you were saying, Brad, you know, did a bit of a tour around, and we only were there in Vicenza for one day, but we did, of course, go to Teatro Olimpico, and I was standing there, I'm just like, I was there on the stage, I was right there, like it was really, really cool, you know, just phenomenal. Like it's unbelievable that we were able to do that. You know, even when I'm standing literally there, it's hard to fathom that we were able to do that.
Yeah. Rick, did you get to graduate from the Teatro?
Yeah, I did. I graduated in '91 from the Teatro.
Yeah, they stopped doing that after a few years afterwards. It's not, you can't do it anymore or whatever. Like
That's sad, because that's such a historic part of what we got to experience when we were there. Again, one of those things that we just took for granted, you know, when we were there, and didn't realize the significance behind it, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I think the school's a lot bigger now than it used to be. I think the graduating classes are a lot larger than it was when we were there. And that place was small. Like you could only have a limited number of visitors per student there, you know, to observe it. So I think I'm not sure what the reason was, but I think they outgrew it for sure.
Yeah. The food? What about the food? What was the first thing you had to get to?
Oh,
Pizza.
I miss the food. I miss the food.
The food is amazing. The only problem is it ruined me on Italian food for my entire life.
What's that, Jason?
I said the food was amazing, but the only problem is it ruined me on Italian food for my whole life, because like you're never going to get in the US, like the Italian food is shit, you know, compared to over there.
Yeah.
So like
it wasn't until I moved here to Fleming Island. There's actually an Italian restaurant here in Fleming Island that it's probably come the closest to being like authentic Neapolitan type Italian food. I mean, it's really, really good. I don't think it's quite there, but yeah, the food in Italy was just, I miss it. You know, just that whole culture, you know, the gelatos, you know, the quality of the gelato.
Gelato is unbelievable.
Oh my gosh. It's like you can't, I have yet to find a gelato here in the States that even compares to what we used to have in Italy.
We were over there a few years ago, and like, I don't know, I probably like ate like 50 pounds of gelato by the time we were done. It was bad. The only other place so whenever I was in Italy or in Hawaii, when I was in the military, there was an Italian woman that owned a Italian place down in Waikiki Beach. And that's the only restaurant that has been remotely like authentic, you know. So what we were used to, you know, more the Northern Italian, you know, and it's primarily because most of the immigrants in the U.S. are from Southern Italy, right? We were in Northern Italy. The cuisine's much different.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I've been told that Sicily's got the best Italian food, and I never made the trip or got the chance to go. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, I love Italian food. The benchmark is up here. You're telling me there's better? I'm like, I got to go to Sicily. I don't know.
Yeah, in 2008, when I was deploying to Iraq, we actually had a layover, a 3-day layover in Sicily. And that's all I did the whole time I was there is just ate. And the one thing that stood out for me is like the best tiramisu that I ever had was right there in Sicily. There's a little restaurant right across from Sigonella, the base in Sigonella. I mean, the tiramisu there is to die for. I would go back there in a heartbeat if I could get another piece of tiramisu from that place.
I can see the smile on your face. You're like, yeah, you can't hold back.
No, it was awesome. It was delicious.
Yeah.
You know, again, haven't found anything remotely close to that here in the States, you know, so.
And the food was good, like everywhere. I remember like on these bus trips, you know, you stop at the little auto plaza, whatever, you know, and you get the panini and.
The panini, man.
Even the ham and cheese toast.
I miss the panini.
Yeah, the toast. That's the one. Yeah. Yeah.
Sadly, I've been gluten-free for like 10 years. So like I haven't had like any good bread products in 10 freaking years.
Oh,
and
man.
the coffee, you can't get a good coffee, espresso or cappuccino, you know, like it is in Italy here. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
True.
That's funny. Yeah, I think my cooking has a lot to do with it. Just you trying to reconnect, bring it back. Too funny. So, all good, man. I know we've been going for a while, so you know we can wrap this up soon if you guys want. We can go offline and really talk. Open up the vault, Jason.
I don't know if we want to go there, man. It's a crazy place.
Yeah. No, but what's it been, guys? It's been about 30 years. Is that crazy? 30 years since we've reconnected.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and for all intents and purposes, it's good to see you guys. You know, it's good to reconnect, and it's as simple as the computer technology is today. Just click, go, and you find the time, and it's like you're down memory lane. So.
Yeah, totally.
But you know, I'm planning on doing you know, some more of these. You know, same story, just giving that chance, getting people together, and then sharing it out. So, any last thoughts?
Yeah, before we wrap up. So, as I mentioned, in 2013, my wife and I went to Italy. It's the only time I've been to Italy since graduating in 1989, right? So, so we're there in the piazza in Vicenza. It's the only day we're going to be there. It's literally the only time I've been there in the last 30 years. And we're sitting there, we're having some pizza at a place, and who shows up but Johnny? He's walking right there with an entourage. And I'm just like, I'm pretty sure that's my old volleyball coach. And I'm like, and we're Facebook friends, right? So I'm looking it up, and he's saying, like, I'm going to go to Vicenza this weekend. I'm like, it's got to be him. So I go over, and of course it's him. And I'm like, and I go up to him, and this is part of what blows me away is how many students has he had? How many people has he coached over the years? And he's like, Shaun. I'm like, how the hell do you possibly remember me? Really, seriously, among all the people that you possibly coached? But he did. And then, you know, we didn't take a picture. We didn't really hang out. It wasn't like what you said, Brad, where you guys, you know, were able to spend some really quality time together. It wasn't like that because he was going to dinner, and we were already basically close to finish with dinner. And it was just like, okay, good to see you. Next time. And that was it. That was all we had. And I really regret not at least taking a picture, not spending some more time with him, you know, that kind of thing. It was, but we've got the memory. I have the memory anyway. It was really, really cool. Just this coincidence that we just happened to be in the same restaurant in Vicenza, just like that. It was so cool. Really, really, really cool.
Hey, Shaun, it's funny that you mentioned that because I actually had a similar experience. The last time that I was in Vicenza was in 1993. But I got my second deployment in the Marine Corps was actually to Aviano. And we lived in Tent City on the airfield side of Aviano. So we were actually, it was weird though, because we were actually restricted to the base and couldn't go anywhere when everybody else in the world could travel, you know, freely. So it's kind of weird. But I remember one time I got a one-day pass so I could go to Venice. So me and a couple of friends of mine went to Venice and spent the whole day in Venice, but we had to be back at a certain time. So we essentially had a curfew. So we went back to the train station after spending the whole day in Venice. Like literally minutes away from getting on the train that we had to catch so that we can make it in time for curfew. And then off in the distance, I hear this laugh. And I'm like, no way, it can't be. So I turn and I look, and who is it? Johnny Kohut. Nice. In 1993, in the middle of a train station, and he was apparently just arriving. So I remember running to him and literally just tackling him. Right? And the reaction on him was like, what in the world? And he looked up and he was like, Ricky, right? And he's like, oh my God, what are you doing? You know, and we had this really quick exchange, but no kidding, the train was getting ready to depart. I'm like, hey, I gotta go. He's like, no, stay the day. He's like, you don't understand. I literally have to go. If not, I'm gonna get in trouble. You know, so we, hugged it out, said hi, bye, like as fast as I saw him, and I had to run and jump on the train. And that was actually the last time that I saw Johnny Kohut. But what a coincidence that after, several years of, not seeing him, the one place that you run into is a train station in Venice, so.
That's awesome. That's great. That's a great story. Thanks for sharing it. It's, Vicenza has that special place in your heart, and it's been fun for me doing these, reunions, catching up with our friends. Shaun, just to go back to you for a second, you saw the one with, and I like to say your girlfriends, but Saga, Megan,
Sure.
Ben Terrell, not the Ben,
Yes,
but
yes.
what was that like for you? Just to kind of catch up on that.
That was great. It was really, really cool to see everybody. So it's funny because, of course, we've been Facebook friends for a long time. It's not like I've actually heard them speak, and actually have a conversation per se. And so that was part of it. Was just to kind of hear the conversation, listen to everybody, talking. That was a huge aspect of it. But it was also, of course, not just talking. They're talking about those days. And of course, then reminiscing myself as well about my part in some of those stories. And so, yeah, it was great. It was like, seriously, I really, really want to thank you for putting all that together, all that and this all together, because it's precious. It's like, look, honestly, there's a reason why, not reason, but I've over the years, I've generally been just sort of like, you leave your past behind kind of thing. But I've kind of gotten to the point where it's like, I'm here right now. I want to sort of reconnect. I'm really happy to reconnect to that time period and to all of you guys. And so that's so I'm sort of like where I'm at is to a point where, again, going back to the one with all the ladies was like just so cool. So like the whole time I got a grin on my face, basically, it was just, it was fantastic.
Yeah, I think you guys will get the same kind of thing. You might even find friends reaching out to you and reconnecting. Rick, I think you had a similar story. I don't remember. I think you told me there was one that you saw, it just sparked the memories, and you were sharing it with your daughters, and you were like, I'm good friends with Rick's wife on social. And she's just like, he's having a blast. What was his nickname on the volleyball team? Menudo?
Oh God, here we go.
It's great.
So it was funny. So I'm trying to remember how that went down. It's a cute story. Not long ago here, of course. So first of all, I steal recipes from his wife, and it's been great, getting some spices into my foods in ways that I'm like, oh, I didn't know I could do this. But anyway, she's like, what was his nickname in Vicenza? I'm like, I don't remember, first of all, and that's what's going on in my head. I'm like, I don't know, Rico Suave, Menudo. So I can imagine you guys sitting on the couch in the TV lounge or whatever, and she's like, and you're not telling her. You're like, I'm not telling you what my nickname was. You got Marine Corps all over. You're like,
Yeah.
represent. And so she's like, Menudo. And you're like, what'd you do? I got to imagine this priceless face on you. You're like,
I was like, what? No, and I've never heard the end of it since. So thank you for that. She reminds me about that all the time. There are times where she'll play some song in the background. It happens to be Menudo from way back in the in the 80s and whatnot. So, yeah. No, but no, my wife, I've actually haven't had much of a social media presence online. My wife's pretty much been my medium, for people getting in contact with me. And thanks, Shaun, for always staying in contact with her, because if not, I wouldn't be here right now. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. I know how to reach you, and that's fine. Whatever works, whatever the right button is. But you see, which one was it that you were sharing? Was it with one of your daughters? I don't remember. Do you remember that?
No. Okay.
Anyway, it just sounded like you were jazz going back down memory lane or something. But all good in that sense. And Brad, I imagine you or your wife and her sister have been chatting it up on one or two of these, probably. Is that a fair guess?
On the podcast, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've caught a few of them. Yeah, I remember the Goldstein one was good. It's good seeing those guys. I saw part of the Jamie Anson one. Yeah, it's cool. It's good to see it. Brings back a lot of memories, and it's just so, obviously it was such a meaningful, formidable time for all of us, those years in Vicenza. And so, yeah, it's cool to kind of draw those memories back.
Yeah. Oh, good. Jason, I know you're a busy guy. But
I think I remember what you're referring to. Not too long ago, my dad actually made copies of my graduation ceremony, and I was actually watching the graduation. He converted it from VHS to digital, and he sent it to us, and we were actually going over and watching the graduation.
nice.
So I think that's what it may have what it might have been that you were referring to.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I can imagine the point of sharing, Vicenza, which again is such a rare, special place for us. But Jason, I know you're a busy guy. I don't imagine you've had 2 hours to stare at one of these podcasts. So, anyway, they're out there, for what it's worth.
Yeah, no, send me a link. I'd love to check it out, man.
Sure.
I'm not the best at, keeping in touch with people, unfortunately.
It's fine. Hey, and that's the thing, right? I think Facebook's allowed us to just it's like a text. It's almost just, you want to stay in touch. You don't have necessarily the excuse to get together, I think, is the issue, right? And again, what would be the chances of all of us coming together, except that we shared a bond a long time ago, and it's nice that we had a chance to kind of reconnect. So I'll say, for the podcast purpose, I'm going to say thank you to you guys for coming on and sharing stories, and look forward to publishing this out for folks. There's going to be a good collective of people who are going to be interested in seeing you, catching up, seeing what's going on, and I'll hit stop on that.